What do you get when you cross a Mora companion with a Mora Light My Fire? Stick around to find out. Hi, I'm the OCD Hunter, bringing you tips, tricks, DIY hacks, and other useful ways that my OCD can help make your life a little bit more simpler. Today I'm going to introduce the new Mora Companion Spark and see how it compares to their older model, the Mora Light My Fire. I'll do a detailed side-by-side comparison and then give you which one I prefer and why. But first, let's start with a little bit of background information just to make sure that we're all up to speed. Morakinv of Sweden, or Mora as most refer to them, is a popular Swedish knife maker known for finding a balance between functionality and price. They produce knives that are easily recognizable because of their style and sheaths, and have become a fan favorite in the outdoor arena. Around 2012 to 2013, Mora teamed up with Light My Fire of Sweden, which was most known for their Swedish fire steels they designed for the military. This collaboration between the two entities brought about the Mora Light My Fire knife. Sometimes referred to as the Swedish fire knife, it is a simple utilitarian knife with an integrated fire starter. Which has brought us to now. Mora has now introduced their new companion Spark, which looks very close to the other design. But why? Well, to start off with, the two companies have ended their partnership, and soon you won't even be able to purchase the Light My Fire knife. As a matter of fact, if you go online, you already see that they've started to phase out the knife. So if you want one, probably now's the time to go buy one, because we don't know how long they'll be available for. But there is an upside. Mora has come out with an answer to their problem. The answer was almost as easy as taking one of their most popular knives, the Mora Companion, and the discontinued line of the Light My Fire knife, and combining them into the new Mora Companion Spark. The Companion Spark was first introduced at this year's SHOT Show and is now shipping in the US. Eventually they'll offer it in 5 different colors, but currently it's only available in black, with rumors of the colors starting to release in late August. So to start the comparison off, to truly understand the difference between the Light My Fire and the Spark, we're going to take a look at 4 different Mora knives. When you compare the Light My Fire knife to the new Companion Spark, you can see the blade profile is just a little smaller. The Light My Fire knife basically has a modified Mora 511 craftline blade. As I compare the two, you can see that the blade shape is very similar, with the Light My Fire knife just being a little longer. However, if you look up the specs of both the 511 craftline and the Light My Fire, you will see that they are both listed at the same length of 3.625 inches. As for the Companion Spark, well, there is no question where the blade shape came from. It came from one of their most popular knives, the Mora Companion. The only changes in the specs between the two are the handle length and weight to accommodate the fire steel. They are virtually the same knife. But how do the Light My Fire and the Companion Spark compare? Since the Light My Fire has more of the blade shape of the 511, the blade is all around a little smaller than the Spark. Comparing the lengths, the Light My Fire is 3.625 inches and the Spark is 4.1 inches. The blade thickness of the Light My Fire is thinner, with 7/100th of an inch, and the Spark with 1/10th of an inch. The height of the Light My Fire is 11/16th of an inch, and the Spark is 13/16th of an inch. The Light My Fire blade is stamped Mora, while the Spark is stamped Morakinv. Neither are full tang knives, but both are made from the famous Swedish stainless steel, which is easy to maintain and offer an exceptional edge retention. And both have a Scandi grind. Now the Light My Fire knife has what they call a profiled ground blade, where it is basically tapered near the tip, giving the blade a thinner profile, allowing for more diversity. This is supposed to create even better slicing and cutting performance, while still giving you a portion of the blade for heavier duty work. Another example of this profile ground style is on the Eldritch and the Cansball, where you can see the thinning of the blade. Both knives have a 90-degree spine for processing wood and striking the fire steel. And as far as my research, I believe both handles are made out of the same material. polypropylene with the TP rubber overlay, which gives them the grippiness. The overall length of the Light My Fire is 8 inches, while the Spark is 9.4 inches. Both have a window in the handle where you can see the fire steel through it. Above it, the Light My Fire has Light My Fire, and the Spark has the Mora logo. Both fire steels attach to the handle with a twist of a bayonet lock system and are interchangeable in each other's handles. Currently, you can get replacements for the Light My Fire version, but not for the Spark. However, they will be releasing replacements for the Spark starting in black and later in the 5 different colors at some point. There is a difference in the size and the shape of the handles of the fire steels. The Light My Fire is shorter than the Sparks. The Light My Fire has these indentations on both sides, and when attached to the handle, the pinky fits into it nicely. The Light My Fire has 2 holes that the lanyard runs through, and on the underside displays the Light My Fire logo and stamped Swedish fire steel. The Spark handle is a little bit bigger, doesn't have the notching on the sides, and says Mora on the underside, and actually has 3 holes in it. The fire steels are the same length at 2.375 inches. They both feel secure in the overmold, but let's face it, only time will tell. The Light My Fire knife has a Swedish fire steel made with magnesium alloy that is supposed to produce sparks at around 3,000 degrees Celsius or 5,400 degrees Fahrenheit. As for the companion Spark, I could not find any specs on it, other than it's supposed to give you 3,000 strikes, which is the same number as strikes for the Light My Fire. Both come with a reflective cordage, but the Light My Fire is thicker than the Sparks. The Light My Fire is tied together with a plastic clip, which displays the Light My Fire logo, while the Spark came with a thinner nylon cordage that you have to tie yourself. Looking at the reflectiveness, you can see that the Light My Fire is not as reflective as the companion Spark. However, I have had my Light My Fire for several years, so that may be due to dirt and grime in the cordage. Both come with a polymer sheath with a drain hole. The Light My Fire sheath has the Light My Fire logo near the top front, while the Spark has the logo running down the front towards the end. When you flip them over, the rear clip of the Light My Fire is stamped Light My Fire and below it Mora, while the companion Spark is just stamped Made in Sweden on the main sheath. The belt clip on the Light My Fire is one solid clip, and the Spark has the button system openings. The thumb assist is wider on the Light My Fire but less pronounced, and the Spark is more like a button shape protruding out more than the Light My Fire. As for the shape, the Light My Fire has a tapered side while the Spark is more symmetrical. The net weight, including the sheath of the Light My Fire, weighs 4 ounces, and the companion Spark comes in at 4.5 ounces. Both currently retail for about $30. That is about as detailed as a side-by-side comparison as I can give you. Now, which one do I prefer? I actually expected to like the companion Spark better, but surprisingly, I still prefer my Light My Fire knife, and this is why. But please keep in mind that I'm nitpicking. I love both these knives, but if I have to choose one, these are the reasons why. First, if you will be keeping and using the polymer sheath, I think the design of the thumb press on the Light My Fire allows me to pull the knife out easier because there is more beef to push against to remove the knife. The Sparks' sheath protrudes out further, but since it's not as wide, it doesn't seem to give the leverage to push against as the Light My Fire. Next, let's talk about the difference in the handles. Now, I would say straight up, neither one of these handles feels as good as a solid Mora handle, because I can actually feel the holes in each side of the handle in my hand. That being said, I do like the Light My Fire handle a little better because the handle is shorter. The butt of the knife, where it curves around, fits nicely up against my pinky. I find that when I make cuts with the knife, that it makes it more comfortable and gives me a little more leverage, because as I push the blade forward, the resistance of the wood naturally wants to rotate the blade back towards me. As a result, where my pinky rests against the curved butt, it helps stabilize the blade because of the opposite pressure. The same is true of the Mora Companion. The handle length fits perfectly in my hand, where the pinky sits right along the curved butt, and gives that extra leverage resistance. Now look at the companion spark. That extra little length puts a space between the curved butt and my pinky, so there is no back force. So I don't feel as if I have as much control. Plus the extra space makes it feel like the knife itself is out of balance. The Light My Fire feels balanced in my hand, but the companion spark just feels a little off. Another thing with the Light My Fire handle is the fire steel sits under my fingers, so I feel like it is more secure and won't accidentally pop out if the twist lock wears out. With the spark extended out from under my hand, I don't know if I bumped it on something if it would pop out, especially if the twist lock wears. Also, I do like the profile ground blade. I know there are some who don't care for it, but for me, I do find that it makes a little difference for detail work. Some would argue that the bigger blade of the Mora Spark is stronger, and I would agree. But for the size of these knives, the minor difference in the size of the blade doesn't affect it in performance. I mean, let's face it, in this size blade category, I'm not using it to cut down a tree. And I would argue actually that the smaller blade and shorter handle for wood carving tasks is better. Because the smaller the blade and the closer your hand is to the tip, the more control you have. So there you have it, a side-by-side comparison, and my thoughts on which I think is better and why. I have to be honest though, even though the Light My Fire knife won out and I was nitpicking at it, I do feel like that they may have put a little bit more attention to detail in the blade. I'm the OCD Hunter, and I hope that my continual painstaking practice of changing, fixing, and improving on ideas will help you out in your endeavors. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that bell next to the subscribe button to get notified of new videos. And remember, comments are always welcome.